Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises forever due. We thank him for raising in our midst the promised Messiah, the predicted Christ and Lord, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we thank them both for their messenger among us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you again. Assalamu alaikum. You know, beloved, Noah preached for 150 years. Oftentimes when Allah, in his mercy, comes to the conclusion that a people have gone so far off the path of truth and righteousness that it's necessary for him to raise one from among them or send one like them to them. It's always a person who is the same as those people. It's not some strange alien individual. When he decides to do that, that means that those people have been in error for a long time. They don't just make a single mistake or a few small mistakes and God decides, oh, I need to raise up a messenger. It means that that people are so deviant that he is on the verge of executing judgment. But in his mercy, he makes this attempt to bring them back. And sometimes people take his mercy and make mockery of it. And they don't appreciate it. And so Minister Louis Farrakhan, as he stated on last Thursday, made a decision in 1977 after the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the defamation of his name brought the nation to its knees and finally wiped it out. The minister decided to rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and as we read tonight, to reprove that his solution is the best solution for the ever-growing toxic relationship between black and white. And 77 was 40 years ago. And as one of the brothers in our circle pointed out, that's a long, long time to labor. And we'll look at that word in the glossary, labor. We're not talking about lightweight work. And so to give of himself and lay his life down. Well, in 77, as he said last Thursday, when he began rebuilding, he did it quietly, underground. And it was when Reverend Jesse Jackson came to him for help as he made a bid for the presidency. And the FOI secured Jesse Jackson. The Nation of Islam gave money to the campaign. This brought Minister Farrakhan into a confrontation with the Jews. And it was through that the minister understood the power that the Jews were exerting over all of America. Well, in 1984, in the midst of this conflict, the National Press Club invited Minister Farrakhan to address them. And this message, and we'll have this, Allah willing, next week. This is available in audio as well. In 1984, Minister Farrakhan delivered a message to the National Press Club at their invitation. And he said to them, then, I represent the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a messenger and warner from Almighty God, Allah, to black people, to America and the world. I do not speak to you from mere personal desire, but I speak in the name of the God who raised up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I am backed by them both. This statement that I just made should be given careful study and weight. And in this message, he predicted America's end and all of the things that America is going through in this moment as she falls. Then in 1989, October 24th, he came back to Washington, D.C., and made the announcement. Well, what is the announcement? If you recall, when he had his vision-like experience on the wheel, he was instructed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to call a press conference and to announce to the world that the president was meeting with his Joint Chiefs of Staff and planning a war. And he gave the details of that. When the minister left Mexico after that experience and went to Phoenix and then to New York City, to ground zero where the Jews control all of the finances and media, and delivered the message, power at last, forever, and introduced a program for economic independence. After that, he went to Libya and he spoke to the Conference Against Zionism, spoke to over 80 countries from Africa and the Middle East. He announced the vision-like experience there, but he realized 4 years later he had not complied completely with the messenger's instructions, because he said, call a press conference and do it. And that's what the announcement is. This was delivered at the J.W. Marriott in October of 1989. And it's subtitled, A Final Warning to the United States Government. Well, we know now, last week, November the 16th, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the infamous Watergate Hotel issued a final warning to the government and the people of the United States, and a final call to us, to black people. And it is no coincidence, there is no such thing, we're taught. It is not a coincidence that you and I are sitting here in this humble gymnasium studying building the will. Because he said to us, you must change the way you think and the way you act, because the time has arrived for you to do better and be better, or suffer the chastisement of God until you submit your will. So, beloved, this is mercy. The finality of the call, people think it's one incident, it's one event. This is a progressive development of the execution of God's judgment, and the separation that we are being called upon to make is to save our lives. We need to be a distinct people when the final judgment comes. That's what a lot of our people out here still are resisting, in that rebellious spirit, that you cannot be mixed and mingled among God's arch enemy. When he makes the final move, when that plane moves over this continent, even when the baby planes come, they are going to strike cities. And the only areas that they will not strike are areas dominated by Muslims. Well, we don't dominate an area if we are integrated up and mixed in and among Caucasian people. We are thinking like them, acting like them, and yet and still he stated that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made us into a new people. He did. We are new. We just need to act and recognize what we are. As we were talking about in the coordinators meeting, we're not the same black people that Master Fard Muhammad found in 1930, who were coming up out of sharecropping in the Mississippi Delta. Do you and I have any idea what it does to the brain to engage in back-breaking work day and night and get nothing in return, to not have a conversation with anyone. Do we realize in those 310 years of slavery on these plantations, we didn't wake up in the morning, well, let's go to Starbucks. What you doing? I'm all right. What you doing? You want to? No. Nobody talked to us. And we were not allowed to talk to each other. So we didn't have any vocabulary. So our brain didn't have any inventory with which to think.
It was against the law.
We could not be ourselves. We're not that people. Now you have a situation where you have a president that engages in Twitter wars with citizens. But you got a black man. Now, yes, he's crude. He's ignorant, but he's intelligent. You know, you can be highly intelligent, but ignorant. Okay? I'm talking about, what's my brother's name? Alonzo Ball? LeVar Ball, the father. Well, he's engaged in a Twitter debate. Well, not Twitter. He's talking on television. But Donald Trump is upset. I'm just giving you the quintessence of the Caucasian male mind, okay, which Donald Trump represents. 70 years old, billionaire, white male, okay? We as a people in his mind do not have the right to think. Now, the man's son went to China and shoplifted in a store, and he and the other players from UCLA were arrested. Well, China's not America. It's not a free-for-all and a beast savage culture like ours. See, everything is taken lightly in America. Oh, so what? I took something that's not mine. Minister Farrakhan said larceny is, in America, they base the seriousness of it on the value of the property you stole. So if you steal under X amount of dollars, it's a misdemeanor. If you steal over another amount, it's a felony. But the minister said larceny is a state of a condition of your heart. Whether it's a penny or $1 billion, you're a thief. And it's a disease of the heart. Well, that's dismissed in America. In China, they take it as an insult to society. You can do 25 years over there for taking some sunglasses. So Trump is of the position that he got the young man out by talking to the Chinese president. The boys, the young men themselves, they thanked the government and the president in a press conference. But Trump said, I want the Father to thank me. So that's that Pharaoh mind. That white man, I want that nigga to thank me for getting his son out of trouble. The brother said, I don't owe you anything. Now, a few years ago, we weren't even allowed to make eye contact with them. So now the brother's saying, I don't care nothing about you being no president. And if I was going to thank anybody, I would thank the president of China, not you. And if you want my gratitude, you should have put my son on Air Force One. Now, there's some more ignorant manifestation, but the point is, we're not Negroes. We are black people. And when we're grown, you don't tell us what to do. Minister Farrakhan is the supreme, divine, elegant, dignified manifestation of an independent, free black man who will step up to the beast and tell him in his face, you are going down. You need to take a look at yourself and see yourself as God sees you. Well, what is that? Self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction. Why is he doing it? because they're going to change? No, to justify their destruction. All right? So I know you enjoyed this tonight. He dropped so many nuclear bombs. These are powerful statements, and so we're going to be going through this and parsing this press conference, because we study the history of the prophets, but we better recognize the presence of a divine servant in our midst. And we just are going to have to, I'm talking to me as much as anybody, we have got to stop being concerned of what is going to happen to us when we go into this separate territory. Somebody said on my blog talk show, well, they might poison the water. What? You ever heard of Flint? Inglewood? What do you mean they might? They have been killing us since they laid eyes on us. This is a country where the president of the United States, here's the minister saying the course he's on. What course is he on? Here's an example. Here's an old, dried up, ugly, nasty, racist white man from Alabama who admits to preying on children. Okay? See, a 14-year-old girl is a child. All right? And by law, that's why there are laws to protect the young. Okay? So your defense, when all of these women start pouring out of the walls, when I was 15, when I was 16, when I was 18, he was pursuing me. He's 35 years old at the time, and he's the district attorney. And what is his defense? I got permission from the mothers. Well, mothers should go to jail with you. But what does the President of the United States say? Vote for him anyway. Because we need a white Republican in the Senate to protect our white interests. That's why he gets away with it. Because the mindset of America, as the minister reiterated, is that we are holding on to our doctrine. The highest law in America is not the U.S. Constitution, beloved. The highest law in America is white supremacy. So you can do whatever you want as long as you are white. Every week you open the paper and some brother is being released from prison after 50 years. 40 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. But a white man who molests young girls is going into the U.S. Senate. So if we want to still live with these people, then that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, be allowed, not mandated. Be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of our own. So we're going to start hosting these town hall meetings on separation. And they're not going to be to argue and debate ideology, because the minister has made this clear as a bell. This is to talk about how we're going to make this happen. All right? So thank you all so much. This is a beautiful group tonight. The energy is great in here. May Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. And we are going to have to delay one more time. We have a powerful national webcast that we're planning. It was going to be next week. Tentatively, it's going to be the 8th of December, but I'll be more definitive next Friday, or Brother Amin or Brother Troy. And I want to thank Brother Troy openly, Sister Stacy Muhammad and Brother Robert Muhammad, who are out of town. I think they went to the grandmother for Thanksgiving. No, I'm just playing. But no, I'm not. But it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But I want to thank Brother Troy, Sister Stacy, and her husband, Brother Robert, for helping put this study guide together. And Brother Troy, I just got a text from student minister Hafiz in New York. And he said on behalf of the whole Eastern region, he wants to thank us for this study guide. The format, they said they had an incredible evening doing the study guide. Thank you. So brother, student minister Amin Muhammad is going to close us out. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.